Hello and good morning, Jennifer. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. Blessed to be talking with you because I am a dog lover. Actually, I think they pick me is what they do. We've had 9 rescues, and I have loved every single one of them. And this book, I laugh at this book only because I can relate with it. I can relate with everything that's going on in it.
Excellent. That's the idea.
You know, it's one of those things where when I picked up the book and I began reading it, right away, I literally put the book on my lap and I looked at my dog and I said, I want to live inside your brain. I want to know how you think. And this book is the closest thing to that.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so happy to hear you say that.
So where did the inspiration come? Because, there are a billion books about dogs, but this is all in its own category.
Yeah. Well, when I first started thinking about doing a book on dogs, I was worried that there are so many books on dogs, but it just kind of came together as a good mix of experts and science, but also great field work and on the ground experiences and personal stories of my own and stories of people who have had great experiences with dogs. It really just kind of became this mix mash of stuff that I think really somehow works together.
I got to let you know how I think. I believe we're either becoming dogs or dogs become humans. I truly believe that there is a transition, and that is our connection between the dogs and the human beings.
We have co-evolved for an awfully long time, thousands and thousands of years, and we have absolutely impacted one another. They see it in the genetics, they see it physiologically. The puppy dog face that I talk about in the book is, a musculature that has changed during the course of domestication. So, our love of dogs and the things that we love about them have been enhanced, of course, because we selectively breed for those things, and the back and forth is remarkable. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we are kind of melding into one creature somehow.
I would love to see the research on people who pick up this book and look at the cover itself. I know we're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I believe that every person who picks up this book will see their own dog on this cover.
Yeah, that was part of the idea, was to really bring a lot of different faces and just to be something where people look at it and say, oh, that's the one I would want.
Exactly.
Or that reminds me of the dog I had as a child, And it really, every time I look at the cover, it makes me smile as well. So.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because my Jazzy's on the back. It's her right there, this little pointer in the back. It's like, yeah. So and I think that's my closeness to this book is I say, yo, she wrote about my baby.
Oh, nice. I did. I had you in mind.
Gauging a dog's intelligence, that requires awareness, doesn't it? You've got to be in touch with the emotions and the connections that the dog has, even with its nose on the ground.
Yeah, and that's part of what I think we forget to do. We're kind of in a hurry with our dog walks often, and we're sort of rushing along. But the fact is, the dog, to experience the world and to be as intelligent as it can be, it needs time and opportunity to just be aware of its environment in a way that makes sense for a dog, not necessarily the way we would do it.
Yeah.
And so, I think we have to to try to see it through their eyes, through their nose, and give them opportunities to be dogs and to just do all the things that they do remarkably well.
I've always thought dogs are historians because they can smell things that we can't, that have been on that section of the lawn 50 billion years. They can smell it still.
They can smell. So I spent some time with folks at Auburn University who are studying, just how good is the nose. And they said that the machines that they're using probably aren't sensitive enough to tell, just how sensitive a dog's nose is.
Wow.
So they can say with certainty that a dog can smell something with a concentration in the trillionths and possibly the quadrillionths, which is a number I can't wrap my head around those numbers, what they even mean. But the fact that a dog can detect something that is there's that little of it is just incredible. How is that possible? It's just amazing.
Yeah. I can't imagine what a dog goes through when it's dropped off at the Humane Society. I just know that what this little girl was in, and I had to sit down and really kind of learn her lifestyle. And that's what I love about this book, is that for those that are adopting dogs, please pick up this book because it will teach you things about your new creation in your life that you need to understand.
Yeah, yeah. It's, as you say, I mean, a humane society situation, I mean, they're wonderful places for the fact that they take in these dogs and they help hopefully get them into homes, but very stressful environment. And imagine with all the sensory experiences that dog relies on. It's not just the fact that it's noisy with barking dogs or that they see other dogs. It's all of that smell and the stress hormones, and just so much is going on that we almost can't really experience what they're experiencing. We can only sort of guess at what that's like, and it must be really, really, really scary for them.
Is it wrong to treat our dogs like children? Only because my dog loves going to the bank because they give her treats.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one to shun anybody for how they treat their animals. I mean, the nicer we treat animals, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But I think it's important to be aware that they're not, they're not like children in some ways. They're not exactly the same. And so treating a dog like a child in all circumstances isn't always going to pan out. But they certainly learn very much like children, and they're scared of the same kinds of things that children are, and they're curious like children, and so in many ways they really are sort of our kids in more ways than one.
Yeah, because you put focus on instinct and intelligence. I love that chapter only because it really does open up my eyes and heart to find out, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that, we used to, not we in this groom, but people used to really think of all animals as just instinct machines, that they didn't really have the capability of thinking and problem solving and choosing. And so we really, there's so much more going on, and we're aware of that now, and that gives us so many opportunities for scientific study and to enhance our relationships with them.
You put a lot of focus on Border Collies and German Shepherds being smart dogs. I still believe it's the mixed breeds that really have that smart sense about them.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense because they're going to get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so they may be, and they're probably a little bit less intense and a little bit less stressed. Some of those purebreds can probably lose out on some of their capabilities just because of all that intensity that's in their heads. But any dog has the potential, I think, like a person. There isn't like a breed that is so all in smart. And there isn't one that's all dumb. And I don't know if dumb is even really a fair word to use with dogs because they're smart in different ways. And I think we have to remember that.
Oh my God, just looking into their eyes and just studying their behavior. I just love that kind of thing. What it does is it grounds me. It puts me in the moment of right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can learn a lot from dogs about being in the right now because they really are such Zen beings, aren't they? They're just, right now, this is the thing that feels good, and so I'm going to do it, even if it means I need a bath later or, someone's going to yell at me. They're just kind of being and doing, and it's a really heartwarming sort of thing to observe. So I enjoy them fully.
When a dog is part of a household, don't they also become the leader in the way of teaching the other animals in the house as to what to be aware of? Because my blue crown conure, he's a great watchdog bird is what it is. And it's only because Jazzy is very good at what's going on the outside as well.
Yeah, I think they really do. And it does seem that when there's a mix of animals in a house, the dog is really so sensitive to so much. Not just olfaction, obviously, but who's at the door and who's down the street a ways, and learning the commands and stuff. Some of them really do kind of teach other animals, in a sense, what to do and not do. Lots of cases of a dog becoming kind of a seeing eye dog for another animal, or helping another animal in some way. They're very special, and they deserve all of our love for sure.
They're saying that AI technology will change the human being. Well, if that's true, how is that going to change the relationship with the dog?
Oh, that's a sad thing to think about. I hope that this can withstand. I mean, it has stood up to tens of thousands of years so far, but it is a time like no other, and it will be interesting to see. Hopefully, we can take advantage of some of these technologies and use them for good, and even better understand our animals. Learn a little bit more about them, even. But hopefully, this is not going to try to step in for that relationship, because that's something that I think we all really crave and need.
Yeah. What did you learn in putting this book together? Because you had to have been a student, because you did the journalism on it.
I did, and I went into it thinking that I kind of knew a lot, and I thought, oh, this won't be too hard of an experience. But man, there was so much, and I became so much more aware. I think one of the big things was kind of the body language issue, and I've always felt I'm pretty intuitive with animals, and I can kind of tell what's going on, but it is so intricate, their language. There's argument over whether it could be called language, and the scientists get into tiffs over that. But the fact is that their communication is deep, and it's incredible when you really observe it closely and see just how these little tiny changes in the ear and the hair and the body language is just an incredible thing to watch, and especially dogs when they're together, to watch them interact with one another is really something special.
Yeah, when they do interact like that, it seems like so many dogs like to kind of wrestle around, where Jazzy goes, I don't play that rough game. Now I'm going to kick your butt, and it's like, oh, now we got to leave the dog park. And so it's like, they like to play rough, but not my girl.
Yeah, well, again, they're individuals. There's no one dog. They're all have their own personalities, and but certainly some dogs just are not really meant for that environment. And I think it's good to know that. If you have a dog that doesn't like that environment and doesn't seem to thrive there, I always encourage people, maybe the dog park isn't the place. But for those that love it, it is a lot of fun to see them just immediately befriend other animals. They kind of figure each other out really quickly, and the playing just commences, and it's fun to watch.
Do you find that we love and respect dogs more since the COVID lockdown?
It's I think for a while people were really there was all the COVID adoptions. COVID dog adoptions. You couldn't even find a dog in a shelter because they were all emptied out, which was wonderful. Unfortunately, you hear that a lot of people who went back to work realized that having a dog is a lot of work, and that didn't all pan out. But I think we crave that interaction and that bond. It's a divisive world out there. I mean, the pandemic being just a piece of kind of the negative stuff that we've been dealing with. And our dogs just, as you say, they ground us. They give us something that we really need. And that's that unconditional love. They're not always doing what we say, but that's okay. They're individual thinkers, and we have to allow them to have that.
It's so true. Where can people go to find out more about you, Jennifer, and to give you lots of love?
They can, first of all, please buy the book. I'd be thrilled to have it out there. You can get it at any of the online or the real bookstores. Should be having it by now. And I do have an author website, jenniferhollandwriter.com, which needs a little updating, but there's more information.
I love it. Have a brilliant day today, and please come back to this show anytime in the future.